Welcome back, guys. We've got something that is brand new to me that, quite frankly, when Alice sent this to me, I didn't even know what it was. Okay. I'm not up on the latest and greatest stuff that's hitting the market all the time. You guys know that. I'm usually a day late and a dollar short. As I was doing a little bit of research and kind of getting my head around this before filming, I saw that most everybody's already done a YouTube video on it, which is totally fine. So you may already know all about this. Yeah, okay, sure. So first off, though, I love this very unique packaging. Yeah, it's just way different. Way cool. There is actually a little paper sleeve that goes over it to hold it closed while shipping and things like that. I don't know. I think it's cool and different. Then you get a nice pouch. Pretty typical, standard, nothing fancy there. And you get some additional hardware or spare parts. You get a T6 tool, which we'll talk about why. You get an extra screw here, an extra pivot screw there, and some extra bearings. These are steel bearings. Alice said, sure, go ahead and take it apart if you want. It's no problem. And I'm like, yeah, no. I see loose bearings. I don't want no part of that, even though they're spares. Here is a little bit about it. It's called the Neutron Star with a few details there. So this was loaned in from Paracord Crafts, whatever it is. I'll put a link down below. You can go check her out if you're not already following her. So this is the GS Knives, which is GameStar Studio GS Knives, Kassanova Design, which is now the company called GoodScrew. I don't know, and I didn't really care to spend the time to understand that drama between the company names. So yeah, we're just going to call it the Neutron Star. It's cool. I wish it was a hair bigger. It runs really good. It fires like a rocket. Zoom in here a little bit. Yeah, about a little bit more. We'll just give it a close-up walk around first off. Nice compound grind blade. So you have a nice hollow grind back here and a flat grind up here, which gives the tip a lot more strength, being that flat grind. It just gives a lot more piercing oomph behind it, if you will. Super crazy sharp. We'll not talk about how I know that, but yeah, it is very sharp. Mokutai pivot collars, zirconium pivot, which is pretty cool. Finally, stonewashed scales. This particular one has a Mokutai pocket clip. You could also get it in a black zircutai. Ugh. Yeah, those just, all these materials just roll right off the tongue, don't they? Okay. Very cool. Ambidextrous thumb studs. No real branding on the blade, which I love. Hand satin flats, belt satin blade grinds, and swedge. Very ambidextrous. This must be a captured pivot since there is no hardware. And they do give you an extra hardware for that, which I thought was unique. You don't often see just one side of a pivot as a spare parts. Okay, so they call this a screwless design, quote unquote, which I don't even like that term. I don't like the fact that they put that on the website. They do put it in quotes because there is absolutely screws and hardware. I mean, there is the pivot screw. You don't see any other hardware here, so it is very clean looking for sure. But if you look inside, there's absolutely a screw there. And what that screw does is there is a backspacer, there is kind of wings or something on the either side of the scale that go into the backspacer and then get screwed down with that screw. there's super heavy milling, like big chunks of milling on that show side. And you have an inset liner lock, which I know is a lot of people's favorites. And I do enjoy that too. It looks like to be a steel because there is no lock bar insert. And it runs great. So this thing is super smooth. The bearings work great. And a detent is perfect on this thing. So I wish it was a little bit bigger because it just, with my hand size, it feels a little cramped when I'm holding it. So you're at 4 1/4 closed, 7.5 inches overall with a 3.15 inch blade. Blade thickness 0.149, M390 blade steel, 4.6 ounces, running on bearings as I already mentioned, and it's exactly 0.5 inches overall minus the clip. All my overall dimensions are minus the clip. These run about $310. They are sold out right now, according to the GoodScrew website. You might be able to find some at retailers. I don't know. I didn't go looking around. Typically, I'm not talking about pricing a lot. Some people have commented recently asking for prices on things. So I do sometimes include them on more production stuff. We're not really going to get into pricing on the crazy customs. That's just not where I'm going to go, depending on what it is and who it's made by. Because in the custom world, things are just very different. There's oftentimes not a set price. You negotiate with your maker and things like that. So that was the Delica, the Kubi KB237. I don't necessarily have another knife that's just kind of raw stonewash like this to, really compare to, but let's go with a custom since we're talking about it. Here's a Red Horse Knife Works Black Death Series Hellraiser, the very first custom Hellraiser that was ever made, which I love, and I'm super honored to have it. So I'm not going to take this apart. I had thought about it, but I don't want to deal with loose bearings. That's not my jam. So there you go. I'm sure somebody else on YouTube has already done a teardown video on that. They do give you some instructions here, which I do like. They have kind of a blow up, exploded view of everything with all the parts, listed out. And then they do talk about taking it apart and how to put it back together and all that good stuff. So yeah, that's why they include the T6 screw tool, because depending on the driver you have, you may or may not be able to get it down into here to get that backspacer screw. Now, in my humble opinion, if you're going to include the T6 for that inside screw, well, just include the T8. I think that's what that one is for the pivot as well. And just call it a day. Like that's what I would do. And then don't call it screwless because there's absolutely screws. And to me, that's just a little bit of, clickbaitish in your advertising. Again, that's just a me thing. I'm sure you guys love it and it's fine. So there you go, guys. A quick look at the Neutron Star. Alice, thank you again for loaning this in. And there'll be a link again to her website, Instagram, whatever it is down below. Have a great day, everyone.